That's just a terrible take, personally.
They got shellacked.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to tonight's episode of The Starting Lineup. Tonight, with me, I have Locke Curfman and Elias Bonilla. Gentlemen, how was your Halloween? We're now in the month of November. I want to hear a little bit, how was your weekend?
It was great. Got to watch a lot of great games. Got to watch the NASCAR championships. It was overall a very entertaining Halloween weekend.
I love to hear anything special. Did you guys happen to dress up?
Oh, I did. I'm a diehard Lions fan, so I got the full suit. I got a button-down shirt. A tie, pants, everything. Yeah.
Well, I'm sad that I missed it, but for this Halloween season, I was Handy Manny, so I had a great time. Been planning that costume for a while, and so I'm glad that I was able to do that. I want to start this episode of tonight's starting lineup with us getting right into Arizona Roundtable, where we'll be discussing this past week's Arizona highlights. So, gentlemen, looking on the docket today, let's start with Arizona football. They had a recent matchup against the CU Boulder Buffaloes. What can you tell us about that, Locke?
This game was I was talking about with Elias. This was a very interesting game because, they won 52-17, but if you look at the yards, they only had 100 more yards. They had the same amount of first downs at 16. Colorado had more third down conversions, and they had 10 more minutes in possession. So it was very fascinating because when you look at it, Arizona had double in yards per play. So they were just and Fafita didn't throw a pass under 35 yards except for one time. So it was mainly just long balls, down the field, and they were connecting every time. So and then the receivers, they had 6 receivers that had a reception, but only 2 of those 6 receivers had more than 1 reception. So it was just a lot of long balls down the field.
Would you say it was a good showing by Fafita this weekend?
Oh yeah, I think Fafita's a great quarterback. Some of the play calling is a little iffy, but I think this weekend they did a great job. Defense showed up. They only punted 3 times, was pretty good. So. Yeah.
Elias, Locke gave us his breakdown. Is there anything you can go off of what he added or any new insight based on this game?
Locke said it best. Arizona was playing ahead the entire game. You look at the stat sheet, it's incredibly weird because Arizona had such an odd game. Yeah, Fafita only threw 11 completions for 19 he was 11 for 19, 213 yards. And even if you look at the running game, Ismail Mahdi, their starting running back, 3 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown. It included a 68-yard run. That's incredible. That is an incredible stat line. And they were up 17-0 before it even became remotely close. It was never remotely close. Colorado historically hasn't been great. And this season they haven't been all that great. But Arizona dominated. If you look at their total yards, 204 rushing yards, and it came in 38 carries, and 85 of them, like I said, by Mahdi. A lot of it was just practice. Quincy Craig ran 7 times. Cornelius Warren has barely been used all season long. It just shows you how ahead Colorado was. And the defense, too, absolutely came in clutch. Colorado had 5 turnovers. They had to go to their 3rd-string quarterback to do anything. Caden Salter was benched. Ryan Staub, first 2 throws were 2 interceptions. They had to go to the freshman, Juju Lewis, and he did all right. But at the end of the day, he was throwing in garbage time, and garbage time was a majority of the game. It really was not much of a matchup. Although, like Locke said, the box score is a bit odd, but I don't think it's anything more than just Colorado playing catch-up and, ultimately just not being able to score. Those costly turnovers were really what put Colorado in a hole, and they couldn't make up for that.
It wasn't Colorado's day. It hasn't even been their season. Head coach Deion Sanders, he's been struggling with this new team ever since the departure of two superstars in Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. They got a lot to bring with this new lineup, and they're struggling in the standings. I remember originally when they were that 1-11 team season. They are improving on that, but they are now taking a nosedive. And I want to make a comment about what you said about Fafita. He had 11 completions. It seems like we're so used to this prime Fafita coming back into this rhythm that we're kind of spoiled with this stat line. But when you have a team as good and as balanced as ours, he doesn't really need to be the entire focal point. Ismail Mahdi, he's been really coming in clutch. He's been a great addition to this team. He's one of our new transfers. And Quincy Craig, do you guys have anything to add about him? How was his performance this showing?
I mean, he did really well. I don't know. I just feel like Arizona did it was a lot of offense, but like no offense at the same time, you know, because like we had a 417 yards, but then like, you know, we had 52 points, but it just doesn't show up on the box score. So it's like, I don't know, if you look at the box score and you look at the score of what, you know, overall, you're like, this makes no sense. So I would think it would have been like a 27-34 game, and then you look at this, I'm like, how did we win by 35 points? And like, we couldn't even beat like when we played Weber State. We didn't even beat Weber State by 35. And it was just very, very odd.
That's a good point, Elias. You want to
Yeah,
jump in on
I
this
mean,
one?
those drives, they were so quick. You're right. Like, you can't do anything and show it in the box score when it takes a few plays. And that's what Arizona did. I mean, those long balls were just insane. And you know, when I was watching the game, Trey Spivey had that incredible touchdown reception. It was his only one of the game. And I think Trey Spivey's stat line kind of tells the story for how when Arizona does well, this is kind of how they play. Trey Spivey's statistics: 11 receptions, 280 yards, 6 touchdowns, along with a 3-yard carry for a touchdown. That's an incredible stat line. That more than half of his receptions have been touchdowns. When Arizona is at the top of its game, it is throwing to these long balls. Fafita is throwing these wide open passes. It's when they struggle that Arizona can't, it falls behind. That's when they start to, really play kind of poorly. We saw when they did against Kansas State, although they did win that, Iowa State, BYU. But when they are dominant, when they played OSU earlier this year, when they played Weber State in Hawaii, and here against Colorado, Arizona's offense can become really, really electric. It's going to be interesting, though, because I look at their schedule coming up, and they have some interesting games coming up. Kansas isn't exactly a top Big 12 school this year, and Baylor's been so they have an interesting matchup. But at the same time, Cincinnati's coming up. Cincinnati has been really, really solid this year, an underrated Big 12 school. So Arizona has an opportunity here to kind of, show that, hey, they could have beat BYU, they could have beat Iowa State if their offense is playing well and if the play calling's there.
Right, and it was that Houston game where we lost on that field goal. So Arizona's very much in these contention of these wins, but as we're getting closer to that illustrious 6, maybe even 7 games as we're approaching the bowl games, I'm curious to see if we're going to reach that number and hopefully make it to a bowl game. Locke, we are competing against this weekend against Kansas, and their Big 12 opponents that they have beaten are UCF and OSU. They're some of the worst teams in this conference.
I agree. Yeah, no. I mean, with OSU, firing their coach the last 20 years, they've just been up and down. They got the, no shirts waving in the stands. That was the best thing they've had all year. And then same with UCF. They're just not good this year. They're just, some years they have off years. I mean, I root for the Browns, so I know how that is. So it's tough when you have an off year, but you just have to look ahead for the next year, and hopefully the next year is better.
Right. Well, I want to move into our next topic of this Arizona roundtable, and we're going to be looking at cross country. They just competed in Lawrence, Kansas, and where OSU is struggling in this Big 12 conference in football, they aren't struggling in this cross country championship that just happened. Elias, can you start us off with that?
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma State was electric in this Big 12 cross country championship. If you look at the final standings, 5 of the top 7 were OSU players. 6 of the top 14 were OSU players. And the way cross country scores points, right? If you win, you're the top runner, you get 1 point, and you work your way down 2 points for second place and so on and so forth. Oklahoma State cumulative points, 20 points. They were so good. Iowa State finished second. They had 43 points. I mean, it was no competition. And Iowa State, too, also played really well. They had 5 runners in the top 13. Compared to Arizona, Arizona placed 8th. This is in the men's, and Arizona did all right. I mean, I will admit Arizona didn't do that bad. Their top runner, Evans Tanui, he did all right. He finished 29th, 28th place points. But Arizona, went into this matchup. We broke it down in that interview, right? Arizona is trying to become a top team in cross country, and they're doing that. I mean, I don't think anyone was going into this matchup expecting Arizona to win, but Arizona, looked all right. They weren't at the bottom, at least for men's, and no shade to the women's team, but men's cross country is working their way up the Big 12 and becoming a top team for cross country.
Right. For those that don't remember, some of the cross-country team members did come into the studio for an interview, and they were a great bunch, on and off the track and the cross-country course. They showed up, we had Evan Tanui, he was 28th. We have 41st place, we have Lowy, and then 44th Michael, and then 46th Bryson. So this much is a team sport. They were training together this whole season as well as competing together. So it's very cool to see how this group of men and women, how they were able to run together and get the best out of each other. What can you add about the women's? They placed, I believe, 14th.
We didn't do amazing, with 63rd, 88th, 105th, and then 2 more in the hundreds. It's not great, but, there's lots of room for improvement. Once you hit rock bottom, all you have to do is, go up. So, I think we'll do well. Or at least we were better than ASU, so,
That is true. ASU was one of the teams that were below us in the women's side. But as they now transition to track season, curious to see how this offseason, how they'll recuperate and how they'll rest moving forward. It's going to be a fun season to watch.
Cross country has 2 more matchups coming up. And they get even more intense. They have their NCAA West Regionals, and then they have their NCAA National Championships. From looking at the standings, they start out really, really good. If you look at Evans Tanui, in the men's, at the mile mark, he was second. And that continued into the 3,000 mile mark, and then it started to taper off. He fell to 10th by the 5,000 mile mark, and by the end, after 8,000 meters, 8,000 meters, Evans Tanui, finished 28th. So they start out really, really well. But it's all about that pacing, and we've talked about that. And we even saw it in the women's too. Their women's top runner, Praise Chepkemboy, if in the women's, by the mile mark, she was again, she wasn't super high, not like Evans Tanui started out, but 39th, and then she fell back to 68th, or 63rd, sorry. So talking about transitioning into track season, perhaps a lot of that early run energy might be an indication that they can translate that into track season. That's the hope, right? Start out quick. And cross country is all about that pacing. Track, it's all about being able to keep that speed for quick, short amount of time and being able to have as much energy in those short distances. It might translate to those going from cross country into track.
Correct. This cross country season definitely favors the long distance athletes. We got 6,000 meters on the women's side and 10,000 meter on the men's. So that is more in favor of the long distance runners. I want to talk a little bit about the women's team results. It was actually BYU that came out on top. They scoring 38 points, followed by Iowa State with 71. Looking down at the rankings, yes, it was the Arizona schools that were at the bottom too, with Arizona being 15th and Arizona State being 16th. We're going to take a short break. We're going to continue with Arizona Roundtable when we come back.
I'm Kate Condon, and you're watching UATV3.
This is Madeline Heinrich, and you're watching UATV3.
I'm Jaden Zelm.
I'm Demetra Alarcon.
I'm Carly Siegel.
I'm Delaney Penn.
I'm Gabby Rosenberg.
I'm Rachel. My name's Simone.
I'm Isabella Will.
I'm Avery Klein. I'm Joey Bernal Alonso.
And I'm Pablo Rojas.
And you're watching
Welcome back, everyone. We're still in Arizona Roundtable, where now we're going to be talking about men's basketball. Their season started underway in Las Vegas in a matchup between University of Florida. However, before we get to that, we have to talk about their last exhibition match on campus where they competed against Embry-Riddle. Alex Kastner, student reporter, has more of this matchup.
The Cats dominated would be an understatement, as the Cats would win by 70 points and destroy Embry-Riddle in this scrimmage.
Arizona got to get an easier matchup as they would take on the Embry-Riddle Eagles in their second and last exhibition, as they just finished a close exhibition match against St. Mary's the week prior. This game would be a blowout from the start, but with a score like 113-42, this doesn't mean the Eagles didn't put up a fight at some point. To start this game, the Eagles would knock down 3 out of their 4 3-pointers they took in the opening minutes, putting them in their biggest and only lead of the game by 1. After this short run of 3-pointers, the Cats would end up dominating the rest of the ballgame, with them finishing the first half 58-26, with a 14-point run contributing to this success. This big lead would also be due to Arizona's excellent shooting, as they shot 63% from the field in the first half. Here's what Coach Tommy Lloyd had to say about their upcoming matchup against Florida and how they think it'll affect the season.
I feel great. I feel right where we need to be. Obviously, I know we have a huge challenge coming up next week. I don't think the success of our season or Florida season is dependent on one game on November 3rd.
The Cats wouldn't hold back in the slightest when it came to the second half, as they would go on to score in the 50s again with 55 points. But this time, the difference maker was holding Embry-Riddle to only 16 points, being the Cats' biggest contributor to this blowout score. The Cats would end up going on to win the match 113-42 points, winning by a total of 71 points. The Cats would have 3 players in double digits, with standouts being senior forward Tobe Awaka, as he didn't play in the St. Mary's match, but ended up getting a double-double with 18 points and 14 rebounds. Here's what he had to say about missing the last game.
But yeah, it was good to be out there. Last game was tough. Seeing guys go to war and not being out there, it's hard. So, you work hard as a team throughout the whole summer, and obviously you want to be out there with your guys. So, I was glad I was able to fight with them today.
Another standout would be Ivan Karchenkov, as he would go on to explode for 17 points on 85% shooting, going 6 for 7 from the field. The Cats will start their non-conference slate, taking on the Florida Gators, then coming home to play Utah Tech. For UATV3, I'm Alex Kastner.
What a great package and outing by our Wildcats. Now we can talk about this matchup between the University of Arizona Wildcats and the Florida Gators, which took place in Las Vegas. The Florida Gators were favorites in this matchup, being the reigning NCAA champions. However, that wasn't the case. The final score was 93-87 in favor of Wildcats. Locke, tell us what went right for this Wildcats team.
I feel like it was just mainly the Pete Jalen Bradley show, because if you look at the statistics, those two shot 20 for 32 with, a 62%, free throw percentage, while the rest of the team went 10 for 29 and only a 35% shooting percentage. That's a pretty big difference. That's like 30%. So, I feel like, I don't know, Pete, with 30, and then, Bradley was 27, and then if you also look at the free throws, 17 for 22 for those two, and then 14 for 16 for the rest of the team. So I feel like it was, and they scored 55 out of the 93 points. So when I was, watching this game, I was like, this is the Bradley Pete show, So there wasn't, besides that, I wasn't that impressed besides those two. Those two obviously won us the game and looked amazing, but I don't know, I feel like the team was besides those two.
It was a great demonstration of the master and student, Jaden Bradley being the oldest of this team, and Koa Pete being this incoming freshman who really put the whole college scene and basketball scene on record. He is one of a few Wildcats who have come out in a debut and have 30 points. I want to make note of that Arizona only shot 5 threes and made 2 of them. Florida favors the 3 ball, and that wasn't the case in this game, however. They shot 27, only making 7. That is something that they talked about in the press conference, wanting to address moving forward. Elias, what else stood out to you about this game?
I mean, Florida was able to stay pretty close in this game. I mean, it was 70-70 late in the game, and although Arizona took that 74-70 lead in the second half, Koa Pete had those really 2 straight dunks. They weren't all that impressive. I completely agree with Locke. I mean, it was Koa Pete and Jaden Bradley. I mean, Ivan Karchenkov played 35 minutes, and he only put up 12 points compared to 27 by Bradley, 30 by Koa Pete, 26, minutes played by Krivas, and Krivas' statistics weren't all that good, only 1 assist, and he was, he was 2 for 2 in free throws, but Jaden Bradley was 9 for 10 in free throws, and Koa Pete was 8 for 12 in free throws. So, the point is that it was they relied heavily on Koa Pete, Jaden Bradley to take this win. And Florida itself struggled. Florida didn't play very well. They looked to be trying to get back into the swing of things. I believe they were 14 for 38 on second half shooting total. So, I mean, it's just disappointing. I think Arizona, it's early in the season, first week. We're not expecting Arizona to come in and be this, powerhouse school. And to come out with the win, I think, is the best outcome they could have had. To have Koa Pete, who I think many people were kind of doubting heading into the season, he didn't participate in as many, expositions and, freshman kind of showcases as other incoming players around the country and in the NCAA. He played really well, and I think that's just what Arizona wants, is to find that chemistry. It's a newer team. There's a lot of younger players, and just finding that kind of chemistry as they work their way into the season, and kind of making sure that Arizona can start widening these leads throughout the game, making sure that when they play a team like Florida, this is not a close game. That's the ultimate goal by Arizona, is to pull away late, so that when we come into the late second half, Arizona's not, only leading by 2 or tied late in the second half.
I'm very glad that Arizona came out with this win, but looking forward to the season coming forward, I'm wondering if it's almost like having a target on their backs. They did take down the reigning NCAA champions, but to use this as a positive, they need to not look at this game as this big achievement that it is. They need to keep rolling forward because the season just started. They have a long way to go. It's going to be a long road, not only in this regular season, but hopefully to a deep playoff run. So the fact that they crossed this one off the books, I'm sure Wildcat fans and the team himself was looking forward to this for a long time on their calendars. It's done. We can move forward and we can start addressing the season to come. Some things I want to make note about the first half was Florida, they were looking really strong. At points, I was curious to see that our offense wasn't moving as well, and a lot of it was moving through Krivas. He actually had the first 4 points of the outing for Arizona, but it was later into the game where Koa Pete and Jaden Bradley were then starting to cook up, get moving, and just running it down, up and down the court, getting those repetitions. It really helped them to settle into this game. Do you guys have any closing marks of this matchup? It's looking like the team itself, they did really well. The team shot really well from the free-throw line. Looking at our statistics, we shot 81%. That is helpful when the game seems to slow down.
No, I agree. I agree with what you were saying earlier. Like, we just beat Florida, but then, like, in the next month, we have to play UConn, Auburn, and Alabama, and they're all really good teams. So, like, we got this one done, but, like, we got now a couple more cupcakes now, but we have to then after, like, we have to lock in because – this one looks great, but if we lose the next 3, it's, that's not going to look great. So I agree, lock in, get all them, and then hopefully, win this year,
Yeah, absolutely. UCLA, all those SEC opponents. It's a tough schedule. It's going to be something that Arizona, is going to have to address. When you're a top team in men's basketball, that's just the, opponents you have to play, and I don't have any worry, though, that Arizona can't figure it out. They have great coaching, great players. Excited for the season to come.
Me too. And I'm really thinking that we're only going to get better as the season comes together and moves forward. That is all we have for you for this segment of Arizona Roundtable. We're going to head to a quick commercial break where we'll come back and talk about the world of professional sports. Welcome back, everyone. Let's talk about the game that outside of Arizona that everyone on campus and across the state and country has been talking about, and that is the Game 7 World Series between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays. Locke, I know you've been dying to talk about this one, being that the Dodgers won. What can you add to this?
I mean, that Game 7 was like one of the best Game 7s I've ever seen. I mean, the Guardians, Cubs back in 2016, that, Rajai Davis home run, that good. But, I mean, Blue Jays are up 3-1 in the 7th, then, we get then Dodgers hit a home run, and then bottom of the 9th, 1 out, looks like Blue Jays are going to win this, and then Miguel Rojas, who has not hit a home run since like March or like April, hits a home run to tie game to go, 10th inning, but then in the bottom of the 9th, Blue Jays have bases loaded. IKF, for some reason, there was a hit single into the outfield. IKF did not get a leadoff, and then they were this close from winning the first World Series since 1993. But yeah, and then in the 11th inning, Will Smith hit a walk-off home run to win the thing, or it was the top of the 10th. But yeah, no, it was back and forth, and then to go to like the pitching. I mean, Yamamoto, Treyu Savage, Max Scherzer. I mean, with the 18-inning game in the Game 3, it was just classic World Series. I'm not a fan of the Dodgers, but I like the Dodgers a lot better than that. Just classic overall.
Right. There was a lot of storylines, not only with the series, but also this Game 7. Yamamoto earlier in the series pitched the entire game, and it, like you said, it went to a overtime. It actually went all the way to 11th innings, and it's only been so many times that Game 7s have gone to the 11th inning. And that Rojas hit, and the Will Smith, and Yamamoto, when he threw the ball and it hit the batter, I was looking like it was going to be Blue Jays, but that wasn't the case. Elias, what do you got for me?
I mean, what an incredible World Series, first off. I mean, one of the most historic World Series I can remember. I mean, every single game had action, whether it was that 18-inning game earlier in the series, all the way down to 11 innings in the 7th. I mean, it was just incredible, back and forth. And how about Will Smith on that go-ahead home run? I mean, Will Smith is someone that, perhaps we don't give enough credit to. I mean, he's a great player. He has now multiple World Series, and for he's been a reliable part of this Dodgers team, and to be able to cap it off, I mean, it's phenomenal, and it's going to be one that we talk about, because I think going in, the Dodgers were hands down the favorite. Everyone was expecting the Dodgers to just come in, win in 4 games, and call it another World Series. But the Blue Jays are just such a well-rounded team that it ended up becoming one of the classics. And I just think that we're not going to see another World Series like this for a little bit.
Definitely a storybook ending for Kershaw to go out this way, being that he started with this team and now won again with this team. Definitely one that I'm going to remember for the time coming. I want to quickly talk about this Cardinals-Seahawks game that I know you're dying to see. What can you quickly tell us about this anticipated matchup this Sunday?
It's going to be a really close game. A lot of storylines. Really close in Week 4 in Thursday Night Football. Granted, the Cardinals did play with Kyler Murray. They're starting with Jacoby Brissett this week. Brissett has been playing phenomenal. He's thrown for 250 yards in all 3 games this season as the Arizona Cardinals starting quarterback. Sam Darnold, though, playing really, really good. The Seahawks storylines, they just acquired Rashid Shaheed. Cooper Kupp's injured, but Shaheed has been really solid for the Saints. 2 rookies caught touchdown passes last week. Torrey Horton, Kobe White, that's a big storyline. Arizona, they're 3-5 right now. This is a big win because although the Seahawks have beaten the Cardinals, I believe, the last 9 or 10 matchups, Arizona arguably has one of the best cases they've had since 2021 to beat Seattle. And although their running game is not great, Marvin Harrison Jr., best game last week when they played Dallas. He had his previous best game when he played Seattle. It's going to be a really, really close matchup.
Locke, what can you add about this matchup, being that the Seahawks did win the previous one in Week 4 and now moving into this Sunday? What do you see happening?
I think rivalry games I always think are very close and very good games, but Seahawks are coming into this game being one of the best teams they've had since Legion of Boom, and the Cardinals, every game, Packers, Panthers, all of them. The Cowboys was a bit of a blowout, but usually the Cardinals have been playing in very close games, and they've just been on the losing end of all of them. But I think if the Cardinals can just continue just doing what they do, and this time maybe, Brissett maybe can change that. But the Seahawks have a really good defense, so I think it will be a close game, as all rivalry games are, but I think I have the Seahawks coming out, but it should be a great one.
With a good team, with the Seahawks getting better as time goes on, and the Cardinals now making a switch with their quarterbacks, we'll see how this game turns out this Sunday. We're going to take our final commercial break of the night, and when we come back, we're going to close the show with some of our special shout-outs.
I'll be right there.
Thanks, cameraman. You're my hero.
Guys, it is that time of night where we're going to start wrapping up the show, but before we go, we're going to send out our special messages to special people or athletes. My special shout out goes out to the women's basketball team, where they'll compete next against UC Riverside. Locke, who do you have to shout out for tonight?
I'm shouting out the New York Jets. They got their first win a couple weeks ago. Aaron Glenn, I love Aaron Glenn since he's a former DC of the Lions. I think they just fleeced the Cowboys and the Colts with 3 first rounds and a second and some players. So I'm excited. They're kind of looking parallel to the Lions a couple years ago, so super excited.
Hopefully they're on the start of something like the Lions, building a dynasty, but I don't know, They are the Jets, and they are a 1-7 team. What about your special shout out for tonight?
I'll move to the quick world of NASCAR. They just finished their 2025 season, so I want to give a shout out to the 3 major champions, Corey Heim in the Craftsman Truck Series, a historic 12-win season, Jesse Love in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and Kyle Larson getting his 2nd championship in the NASCAR Cup Series. Great job to all of them.
Well, I know how much you love NASCAR, and I know how I appreciate you telling me all these races that have been coming up. I've definitely become a fan this season. That is all that we have for you guys tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Starting Lineup. And be sure to check out Wildcast this Monday and to check us out on social media. From all of us, this has been The Starting Lineup. Have a great night and bear down.